everyone, my name is Marissa, and today I'm going to show you how to make this pendant that I'm calling the dragon pendant. And I know someone commented on Facebook saying that it kind of reminded them of Medusa, which I felt the same way. It kind of does. It has that kind of mythology, I guess you could say, look to it. And but I'm not crazy about the name Medusa, so I thought, you know, dragon sounded just as mythology-ish, but a little bit nicer. So I'm going to show you how to make this pendant, and then I'll show you how I made this simple little chain and how to attach the chain to it. Okay, so for this we are going to need Zorro beads, and these Zorro beads that I'm using are the Crystal Capri Gold, and you will need 8 for the center here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 8 more for the outer part. So you will need 16 in all. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. You will also need 4mm rounds, and I'm using the Potomac crystal rounds in the magic blue. You will also need 11 O's and 15 O's. The 11 O's that I'm going to use are the Miyuki galvanized gold. The 15 O's I'm using are the Miyuki gunmetal. You will also need something to fasten your necklace with, and I'm going to use a cup button because these are my favorite this is my favorite way to fasten a pendant, a bracelet. For me, it's just so much easier than fighting with a lobster claw. Also, for the very center, this little bead that I have dropping in there, it is a 6mm round. I believe on Facebook when I posted it, I put that it was an 8mm, but it's not. It's a 6mm. Now, for this part, I'm using a 6mm, but maybe you can use an 8mm. You just have to kind of play around with that. Also, you don't have to put anything in the middle, or if you want to do another 4mm round in the middle, that's up to you. Also, what I'm using to string everything together is wildfire beading thread, and I'm using the green. I used it for another project. I had never used green before, so I ordered it, and when I got it, I loved it. I love this green wildfire thread, so I strongly recommend it. So I'm using the 0.006 wildfire in green, but you can use whatever string you'd like or whatever color you'd like. You're going to need 1 needle. I'm using a size 10, and I have already threaded it with my wildfire. You won't really need these. The only thing I used them for was to flatten the thread in to make threading my needle easier. Also, you will need scissors or something to cut your thread with. I'm using the Ultra Thread Zap, and it works really well. I love it. Okay, so go ahead and get your materials together, and I will show you what to do first. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do, once you've threaded your needle, go ahead and pick up another bead that is not related to your project and string it, put your needle in through it twice so that you can use it as your stop bead. And just leave a tail long enough to where you can tie a knot comfortably. Mine is probably, I don't know, looks like about 4 inches or so, but it doesn't have to be this long. That's just how long I did it. But anyway, I have my stop bead on. I have looks like about 7 feet of thread on my needle, but you don't have to thread your needle with 7 feet. You can start with whatever amount you're comfortable with. I would do enough to do the whole component. The component will probably take 3 feet. So at least do 3 feet so that you can do your little pendant component completely. And then once we do the little necklace chain part, we can add some more. Okay, so I have my needle threaded, I have my stop bead on, and I've laid out my Zorro beads, and I have them all going in the same direction. The first 8, I have them all going in the same direction, and I'm going to pick up all 8 with an 11-0 separating them. So I'm going to start with an 11-0, and then I'm going to pick up each one, and I'm just going to separate them with an 11-0. Make sure your holes are clear. That way you won't have any trouble with them later on when you have to hop up to the second hole. So I started with an 11-0, and I will end with a Zorro. So I'm almost done, and it really does help if you have them all laid out the way you're supposed to pick them up, because it can get kind of confusing. So this is what you should have on your thread. You have 8 Zorro beads and 8 11-0s, and you're alternating with an 11-0, Zorro, 11-0, Zorro, 11-0. So I have all 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I have 8 11-0s. Now I'm going to make a circle. So I'm going to go in through all of these beads again. I'm coming out of here, of this Zorro, and I'm going to go in through here. So go ahead and do that. Make sure you get every single Zorro and every single, I'm just going to pick this up, and every single 8-0. I have to bring this closer to me so that I can see better what I'm doing. So I got them all. And I'm kind of, there you go. Alright, I don't know what happened here, but I need to tighten this. Get this closer to my stop bead. So okay, there we go. So this is what you have. You're already getting the Medusa effect, which it's kind of cool. It does sound kind of cool. So we got this going, and I'm going to go ahead and go through that 1 11-0 close to the stop bead again, and I'm going to come out of the Zorro after it. Okay, that'll tighten your little ring better. So this is what we have. It's not the prettiest little thing yet, but we're not done. So, okay, coming out of a Zorro, now I'm going to, okay, so I'm coming out of the outer hole of the Zorro. So now I'm going to be going counterclockwise. We were putting our seed beads on this way, our seed beads and our Zorros, we went this way. Since we hopped on over to the other hole of the Zorro, we're going to go this way. Now what we're going to do, we're going to be using our 4mm rounds. So we're going to put a 4mm round in between each of the Zorros. So we're going to, I'm coming out of the Zorro, I'm going to go into the one next to it. And I'm going to pull, and that's going to put my 4mm in there. Just like that. Whoops, I went into 2 Zorros by accident. So back up out of 1. So I'm going to get another 4mm, and I'm going to go into just my next one, into that hole, the outer hole, the one that doesn't have anything in it. I'm going to pull, going to pick up my next 4mm, going to go into the next Zorro, the outer hole, and pull. So I got another 4mm, go into my next Zorro bead, the outer hole, and pull, and we're going to do this all the way around. Right now your Zorros are kind of dangling, swinging, but with this step it'll be easier. They'll be easier to work with. So your next 4mm, pull, coming out of the Zorro, pick up our next 4mm if it wants to cooperate, and to the next Zorro, and pull. And see, these beads are going to hide that little piece of thread that was showing once we hopped on over to the other hole of our Zorro bead. So we need one more. And into the Zorro, the next 4mm, and if you catch the Zorro after that, that's fine because we need to go through it. So we need to go in through this Zorro bead after that 4mm and come out of that Zorro bead. Now we're going to work with our Zorro beads again. We're going to pick up our outer row of Zorro beads, and we're going to pick these up. Get my tail. I'm coming out of this one. I'm going to pick up the Zorro like this now, like that, and that we're going to pick it up like this. We're going to go into this hole here, like this, pull. Let me just pull my thread. This is how we're coming out. I'm coming out of this Zorro, and then I strung in another Zorro like this. I'm coming out of this point here. Now we're going to put on 2 15-ohs. So we're going to be working with our Zorros on our 15-ohs again. 2 15-ohs, go into the other hole of our Zorro, into the Zorro that's existing already on our piece, and come out of that Zorro and pull. So that is going to set the Zorro on top there. So let's do that again. And just make sure you're picking these up the way you're supposed to. And if you ever feel you're getting mixed up, just put it next to the one you already have there to kind of show you, okay, this is how they go. This is how I'm going to pick them up. Which I had to do that constantly until I got used to them. So I'm coming out of this Zorro. I'm going to go in through this one like this. Like this. And I'm going to, I'm going to use another one. This one is kind of shaped weird. So, there, this is better. See? Going through here, pull. Now pick up 2 15-ohs. Go in through the next hole of your Zorro and go into the existing Zorro on your piece and come out and pull. And that is going to set this one up here now. So I'll show you one more time. Coming out of this Zorro here and the existing Zorro on my piece, going into my Zorro like this, come out, come out, come out, come out, pick up 2 15-ohs, and then go into the next hole of your same Zorro, into the Zorro here that's on your piece, and pull. So continue doing that all the way around. I have already done 3. Just need to do 5 more, picking up a Zorro, 2 seed beads into the other hole of your Zorro, and then into your next existing Zorro. So go ahead and finish doing that, and I'll meet you back and show you what to do next. Okay, so I've already completed putting the rest of my Zorro beads with my 15-ohs on the outer part of my component, of my pendant, and I'm coming out. Oh, what I also did was off camera also, I went ahead and I reinforced this row. I only went through the 4mm rounds, the first section of Zorros through the outer hole. I just went and reinforced it once, and I did that off camera. So I just did that after I completed this part. And again, when I reinforced, I only went through these, the top hole of the Zorros, the 4mm, the top hole of the Zorros once. So I'm coming out of a 4mm. I'm going to go up this Zorro bead through here and pull. Now I'm going to go through these 2 15-ohs and pull. And I want to be coming out of the Zorro bead here. Right here. I want to be coming out right here. So I'm going to go down the Zorro bead. And now we're ready and in place to do our final seed beads. So we're going to thread, now I'm coming out of here, I'm going to thread 8 15-ohs on my needle, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Depending on the brand of needles you're using, you might need less or more if they're really small. But from here, from this Zorro bead, we're going to go into, we're going to hop on over here to this section, coming out here, going to hop on over here. We're going to go through these 15-ohs and pull. I'm going to hold on to my tail because it keeps getting tangled in there. And I'm going to go down the Zorro bead next to those 15-ohs. I'm going to pull. And that set those 15-ohs in place. So let's do that again. 8 more on our needle. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Coming out of this sorrel bead, I'm gonna go in through these 15 O's and pull down the hole here of that sorrel bead and pull, and that put those in place. Now we're going to do this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 8 15 O's on my needle. Coming out of the sorrel bead here, I'm going to hop on over here, go in through these 15 O's and pull. Down that same sorrel bead where I'm at, down that hole, and pull. And our dragon pendant is really starting to take shape. Once you put those outer beads there, you can really see it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, you might need to play around with the number of seed beads here on the side. You just want to make sure you don't have any thread showing, or that they're like kind of warping because there's too many. So this is what we got. So it's coming along now. I'm coming out of here. Just going to put on 8 more on my needle, hop on over, go through these 2, down the hole of that sorrel bead. You're kind of come out here, put 8 more, down these 2, down that sorrel bead, and so forth until you are done, and I'll show you what to do after that. Okay, so I added all of my seed beads that go on the side of my pendant, and now you want to be coming out of this is the back side of my pendant, because here's my stop bead. You want to be coming out of one of your outer, excuse me, sorrel beads here. You want to come out of this hole. So to attach our chain, we're going to attach it to these outer sorrel beads. One part through here and the other part through here, through here and through here, through here and through here. You don't want to make a bail here. Use this as a bail because these are 15 O's and you only have one thread going through that. That's an embellishment, so you don't want to do your chain, make a bail off of there. So you want to use a bead that's thicker, stronger. So from here, now all I did on this one is I picked up a succession of 11 O's, 20 11 O's with a 4mm round in between each group of 20. That's all I did. My string was coming out here, picked up 20 11 O's, did a 4mm round, 20 more, 4mm round. That's all I did. But this part is up to you. You can just do 15 O's by itself, 11 O's by itself. You can do whatever kind of bead. This is just the necklace part. This is just how I chose to do it. So by picking up 20 11 O's or a 4mm round, 20, 4mm round, 20, and so forth. And I did groupings 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 groupings of 20 11 O's separated by a 4mm round on both sides. You can't see it all, but that's all I did. This is the back side of my pendant, but that's all I did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way through, and I put a cut button. So I'm gonna do that again with this one. I'm going to pick up 20 11-ohs, and I'm going to separate each grouping of 11-ohs with a 4mm round. And I was going to use my gold, but you really can't see the gold. Well, I guess I'll just stick to the gold then. I do have some gold here, so I'll just stick with that. So, well, let me see how it looks. With this attached, since I have a lot of dark, I think I will use a bronze colored bead. So let me change out my 11-ohs for this part. Since this pendant is darker than the first one I did, I'm not really crazy about the gold. So I'm gonna go get another color and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've strung on this string, and again it's coming out of that hole of my outer group of Zorro beads, coming out of this hole, and I have strung on. And again, how you want to do the necklace part is up to you. You don't have to do it like this. You can just do all 11-ohs, all 15-ohs. You can use an entirely different type of bead, but this is just how I did it. So I did 7 groupings of 11-ohs, of 20 11-ohs, separated by a 4mm round. So I have 7 groupings of that. Now at my last grouping, I have my 20. Now I'm going to do 3 more. My 4mm round. My 4mm round. 3 more 11-ohs. I'm going to go up my cut button through the bowl side. Gonna pick up 3 more 11-ohs just so that my thread won't be exposed when I go through the other hole of the cut button. And I'm gonna go through my cut button, pick up 3 more 11-ohs, go in through the 4mm round that I have there and pull. I'm going to pick up 3 more 11-ohs. Now I'm going to go back in through and I'm going to reinforce all of this, but these 3 11-ohs that I have right before my round, my 4mm round, I'm going to skip, and I'm going to start after those 3, and I'm going to go through each and every one of those 11-ohs down the line. But this is what you should have. Well, actually, before I do that, I should have reinforced my cut button, so let me back out. Let me back out, because I can always do it later, but since I'm here now, let's just reinforce it now. So, I'm coming out of my 4mm, go up these beads, in through the beads in the cut button, out the cut button, in through those 11-ohs, pull, and I'm going to reinforce one more time. I'm going to go through the 4mm round. That way I can get 3 threads in through that cut button. So up these, try to catch the one at the end there, go in through the other 2, and then I'll just do these one at a time. There. The other end bead on the cut button, down these 3 again, and in through my 4mm round. So now I have 3 threads all in the succession of beads here. So now I'm coming out of my 4mm round. Now I'm going to pick up 3 11/0s, and then I'm going to skip these 3 11/0s that are right before the 4mm round, and I'm going to start going in through every single one of these 11/0s, including the 4mm rounds, because I'm going to go back down my necklace. So I'm here, and I'm just going to go in through all of them, every single one. So go ahead and do that. I'm not going to do this on camera because it is kind of boring to watch that. So, and just be careful when you do. Don't get your thread tangled up there, catching your cut button. And just make sure, another reason I'm going to do it off camera, because I need to really look at this. I need to make sure I don't skip any of the 11/0s. So go ahead and do that, and I'll show you what to do after that. Okay, so I've already done this side of my necklace. I've attached my cut button, I've reinforced it, and I've already come down all this side, and I'm coming out of my first 11/0 that I added for my necklace part, and I'm coming out of that 11/0. I'm right before this hole here of this Zorro bead. So go through the Zorro bead. Now I'm right here in between this Zorro bead, and this one here. Go in through that Zorro bead. In other words, your inner Zorro bead. Go through that, and then come out of this Zorro bead, another one of your outer Zorro beads, through this hole. And we're going to do all of this, what we just did, over again. But now we're going to do it on this side. So just do the same thing. However you did this side of your necklace, however you did it, just do it again over here. And I will meet you back once I've added all of the beads, and I will show you how to do your loop. Okay, so I've already put in my beads for this side of my pendant necklace, coming out of this Zorro bead here. This is the back side of my pendant. This part of my necklace is coming out on this side. Then we went through that Zorro, then this Zorro down here, and then up this Zorro. Now we're coming out of the hole, and I just put in all my beads. So I have already completed this part. Now I'm just going to do the same thing like I did over here. I'm going to do 3 11/0s, my round, and then I'm going to pick up just a bunch of 11/0s, just enough to fit around my cup button. And I did not put a crystal in my cup button, so I wouldn't have to make it bigger to accommodate that crystal. I would just have to make it my loop large enough to go over my cut button. And I started out with, I believe I put 7 feet of thread on my needle. And it was kind of a hassle when I had just started my project, but I'm really appreciating it now because I did not have to add thread, and I love that. When I'm doing a bracelet and I'm using 2 needles, I don't mind. But when I'm working with 1 needle and I'm doing something like a necklace, it's kind of a hassle for me. So, okay. So I've already added my seed beads. I'm gonna go in through my 4mm round. And I'm gonna make sure everything's tight, that there's no thread showing. I'm just gonna kind of hold it here to make sure it goes around my cut button. It's a little bit loose. So I'm gonna take off 2. Let's see how that works. If it's still too big, I'll take off a couple more. And let's see. Only when you do this, don't tangle your thread like that. Okay. It's untangled. Now I'm going to take off 2. And these seed beads are rather big. They're 11/0, and the package says Miyuki, but these are big. I think, even though they say 11/0 and they're Miyuki, I have a lot of Miyuki beads. I think certain colors are, like maybe the metal colors are bigger than the other colors. Because I've noticed these bronze beads are kind of big. But that's okay, they work. Okay. It's holding it. Let's try that one more time. I think I need to add a seed bead. So I'm going to go back out. And untangle my thread again. And I'm going to just add 1 more, and I should be good because it was a little tight. And I did take off 2 seed beads, but like I said, they're kind of big, so 2 seed beads doesn't sound like very much, and it's not, but these are bigger, so that's probably why. Okay, so I have them all. Now I'm going to go in through my 4mm hole, 4mm bead in through the hole. Now I'm going to pick up 3 more 11/0. I gotta take 1 out of my tube. So pick up 3, because I'm just doing the same thing the way I did this one to make it nice and polished. So, and just pull everything, because you don't want to finish this part and see a lot of thread over here because it wasn't tight enough. So, okay, I just pulled. I'm holding on. I'm going to skip these 3 that are right before my 4mm, and I'm going to go back down through the rest of them, right on down the line again. Just the way I did over here, I went back. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to go back down this side all the way down until I'm meeting here. So I will do that off camera to make sure I get every single one of my 11/0. Don't want to skip any, and I will meet you back here after that. Okay, so I already came down this side of my necklace. Now, I did forget to mention, and I hope this does not want to make some of y'all pull your hair out. But when I was doing my loop, I forgot to mention, before you add these 3 beads here and then go back down your necklace, reinforce your loop 2, 3, 4 times if you want. And but just how we did it here, reinforce this before you go back down. If you've already gone back down, hopefully you haven't, but if you have, you can reinforce it later, but it's worth it to go back and reinforce it now. So now we're back down here, and this is again the back side of my pendant. This is the Zorro that we came out of to start our chain. Now I already reinforced, and I came back and I went back through that Zorro. Now I'm going to go into this one here, go into that Zorro, only the Zorro, not the 4mm next to it, and still have my tail. I'm going to tie a knot in a bit. Okay, so I'm coming out of the Zorro, here in the inner part. Now I'm going to hop on over to the bottom hole, the innermost hole. The reason I'm calling it my innermost is because it's the innermost part of my pendant, of my piece. So I'm coming out of that hole now, and now we're ready to add our little bead there for embellishment. Now you can just leave it as is like this and not embellish it, and just leave it open and just tie a knot there with your tail and then burn your thread, and that'll be the end of it. But I'm going to add this very last part. So coming out of that Zorro bead, I'm going to add on my needle 4 15-0s, and I'm going to use a different color because I'm going to add a dark bead, and if I stick to the same color 15-0s, it's going to be too much dark. So I'm going to use another color. I'm going to use a gold. So I put on 4 15-0s on my needle. I'm putting on my little embellishment bead, and it's a 6mm bead. It's just a round bead. It's a blue with purple with pink. It kind of goes well with my rounds. That's why I chose it. So I added 4 15-0s, my round bead, and 1 more 15-0 after that. Now I'm going to go back. I'm going to skip that 15-0 I'm going to skip this 15-0 here. That's after my round bead, and I'm just going to go through my round bead and pull my thread. I'm going to go through the first 15-0 after my round bead, and I'm going to pull, and then I'm going to pick up 3 more 15-0s, and I'm going to go through the same Zorro bead, but on this way. I'm coming out this side. I'm going through the same hole, but in the other direction, in the opposite direction. And I kind of have to get this close to me because I can't see. All right. So just go through the Zorro bead, and I flipped my work over so I can just make sure that. Geez. Okay. Let's do this again. Okay. Here we go. Coming out of the Zorro bead, and through the same Zorro bead, but in the opposite direction. I'm gonna take my needle in there, and that's going to make my little bead there hanging all cute and all like that. See? That's cute. So this is the front of my pendant, back side. And if you want, and I do want, I'm going to go through this all over again. Through the Zorro bead, down these 15 O's, down my little round bead, just to have 2 threads in there instead of 1. And my thread is getting kind of short, but it's still very, very workable, which I'm really appreciating. So down here, through the 15-0, and then up the round bead, up the 15-0 after my round bead, and then up my 15 O's here, okay, looks like I am going to need my tweezers, pliers, and then through this Zorro bead again for the last time. And I'm coming out and I'm meeting my tail thread. So now we can remove our stop bead and we can tie a knot. You know what? I'm gonna take it through this 11-0 next to it. Now we're meeting our tail thread. I'm going to remove my needle now and I'm just going to tie a knot. And I'm going to switch hands one more time. And then I'm going to do it one more time. And I am just going to get rid of this thread now with my thread burner. And our pendant necklace, dragon pendant necklace, is complete. So this is what you should have all completed. Trying to get all the, so you can see it all. This is what you should have. This is my dark one, and this is my light one. And I really like this little middle bead there. It's so, I like that color. But this is what you should have. Now, this was the only color of Zorro beads that I had, but it is such a cute little pendant. You know, with different colors that you use, you can make it look really, really cute. So this is just an idea. Change it up around. Be inspired and do it like mine, or make it your own and come up with something else. But this is what we got. So I hope you enjoyed making this, and thank you very much for watching.